Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Nation's Corner. Cheers.
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 And my high-powered soda for the evening.
Yeah, my
Mm.
cup of
Beautiful.
Hope everybody had a good week. We're here with Mongrovian Mike and John in South Jersey. Man, everybody's doing some cool stuff this week. I got we saw Deb's out in the chat. Say hi to Deb. Deb, thank you for joining us in the chat. While she's on vacation out on the beach, sipping something delicious, I'm sure. Rolling on her
Hopefully,
new wheels. Yeah,
highly alcoholic too.
probably.
Good.
Temporary Maryland chapter. Oh, okay. Well, here we go.
There. Shout out to Debhausen.
Shout out to
It's
Deb. I see
Deb and
Trend
the
is out there
family.
in Cali, representing from the West Coast. My best host from the West Coast for our Thursday night show on Match. Man, everybody's out there doing some cool stuff. Like I said,
Yeah.
Neil and Chad and our friend Bill are all out with the Busted Open crew out at Impact 1000 tonight. Who else is out there? I'm trying to think. Dave and Gabby and
Dave, Gabby.
3D.
well, yeah, obviously the performers.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of fan. I think I saw a couple posts today. Some more Busted Open Nation members are out there as well tonight. We're there last night for the pay-per-view and the 1000 show tonight.
Our friend
The
Kira.
RAs in there. Oh,
Our friend Kira.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see Savage in the chat as well. Awesome.
Okay.
Good, everybody's joining us tonight. Either out at wrestling or here
with
talking
us.
about wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got a ton of stuff because I missed last week. We had a bunch of stuff going on last week here at home, so I missed the last show. A lot's happened in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, you guys talked about the Punk stuff. Everybody's talked about that to death. What I wanted to share with you guys is we had the opportunity to go to Monday Night Raw this week here in Charlotte. Got the cool new Charlotte Monday Night Raw shirt, shirt, Charlotte Hornets inspired. It was really cool, I think, because we always talk about the hype and like how everything's selling out and everything's high energy and everybody's making lots of money and all that's great. And then you go and you see these shows and the energy is off the charts. And I don't know, I wanted to get you guys' opinion, like in the room, in the arena, which was a sold out Spectrum Arena, the crowd was so incredibly loud, but in a good way. Like they cheered the good guy, booed the bad guys. The chants, the singing, all that stuff was amazing. Did that come across on TV?
To me, it did, but it didn't. You could definitely feel or hear, the crowd participations and all that. But for some reason, to me, it wasn't raw audio. It was slightly tempered to be not. It was probably 10 times louder in the arena. But with commentary and everything else, I honestly think they cut back on the crowd just to make sure that the broadcast gets out and the commentators are heard and all that. So
isn't that funny, John? Because like I had one of my friends texted me and said, "Is it really loud in the arena? Because it sounds loud on TV." And basically, what you're saying is the rumors of people augmenting the sound. This might have been the opposite. They might have had to tune the crowd down.
Yeah, that was my impression, and not just lately, for the past few months anyway. It seems like that with WWE on the TV shows anyway. And I understand it, and you don't want the crowd to overpower everything, but I just if it's good and there's good energy and the crowd's really engaged, why not use it? Why not hear it?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my wife who's in the chat, Miss Front Row, out of Bougie Row. Bougie Raw. Yeah, Bougie Raw. So, okay, since you put in the chat. So my brother-in-law's, the company he works for, they have a corporate suite at the Spectrum Center. And we had the opportunity to go and witness and enjoy Raw from the suite. So we're a little spoiled now. I don't know if we'll ever be able to go back, but maybe at some point. But it was really cool. They had food and drink and all that other stuff.
Champagne
So,
cocktails and caviar, huh?
Yeah, up there,
Yeah.
they're like
No, there
like
was
they
hot dogs.
Stanford.
I don't think there was any caviar. They did have good hot dogs though. Um, but it was really cool. And the reason I bring that up is when the Dominic Mysterio stuff happened, I hadn't witnessed that live, and the boos were so deafening I couldn't hear her talking to me like right next to me. It was overpoweringly loud.
Dude, I'm watching from SmackDown, SmackDown this past Friday too, and it's like there is nothing that anyone in the production truck can do with the audio sound other than cut it completely out, like they're using those bad curse words.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
But there's nothing. I mean, like he couldn't even hear himself what he was saying. You could tell. It was just like. And it is amazing the heat that this kid gets, and the hatred that he had, a little over a year ago. Like, oh my God, this is everybody would thought it was the nepotism, and it's just Rey Mysterio's son. He's nothing, and then meanwhile, man, he's coming to his own.
He absolutely has.
It's funny, John, because that's an interesting thing that you say. Because John and I were talking about this the other night. Like, he doesn't really do anything. Like Dom people just know that they're supposed to hate him, and they've moved past this point where, okay, we don't like him. He's not doing great. He's not a great baby face or whatever.
Right.
He's now in a position where it is instant. Like the heat is when the microphone is there, it is absolutely instant. It's on, and he doesn't have to do anything. It's crazy.
No, he just has to stand there with a microphone in his hand, and that crowd absolutely erupts.
Right.
It all started after he was arrested and served that hard time.
I think people fell in love with that whole promo segment and like the doing hard time, and it's the prison, like the teardrop.
Let's really give flowers, as everybody says, to that whole Judgment Day. I mean, everyone thought, Judgment Day was on its last legs when they turned on Edge. They were like, "Oh, what are they doing?"
Yeah, now what?
And boy, was that the most. That was the most. That was
a bad take.
It was.
That was a bad take.
It was a bad take.
It really was. It was. Within a few weeks, we were like, okay, and now it's like, hey, they're on the heels of the head of the table now, and now you're starting to see other factions come up. You got Judgment Day. You have Bobby Lashley and the Prophets, and
real quick, I got to give a shout out to Steven in the chat. Steven, I did put you up on screen and then remembered probably should shout you out audibly.
Right.
That's how much my brain's not working today. And Deb says Peter Rosenberg said on his podcast that his nephew hates Dom. I think the feeling that I get is the crowds just are so appreciative of the work that they did early on that now they're just going to give him the booze that he's supposed to get.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody hates the guy. But.
No, but it's like, just like, everyone sings Cody's theme. Everyone sings Seth's theme, except Elder. That's the worst song ever. But he's the one person in the WWE universe. But but it's almost like the thing, like LA Knight. Everybody participates in all that. It's like the thing you do now is when Dom has a microphone in his hand, you boo him. It even has spread over to NXT, where he's a champion, and they do it to him there. So
you know what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what though? With Dom though, it's all natural. It's not.
Yeah, it wasn't.
There's nothing to sing along with him. I mean, he could have. They didn't boo him that loud if he took the microphone with his father. If anything,
right. Okay, so Elder, I don't want to spend the whole show on Dom, but when they showed him up on screen in the backstage segment, the crowd booed the crap out of him, and I know from rewatching it that you could hear it backstage.
Yeah.
But to John's point too, like a lot of the other stuff that was exciting about Raw, and I know how you feel about Seth Rollins and the song and all that stuff, but Seth Rollins comes out, big entrance, the crowd singing, they go to commercial break. all the lights in the arena went off, all the fireflies came out, and Seth Rollins stood in the middle of the ring in the spotlight, just doing this, and the crowd sang his song through the entire commercial break with the fireflies. It was a really cool moment. They come back from commercial break, his music starts playing, the music, and then the commercial break, and then he goes into his promo scene. I'm like, that was a cool moment that we got to experience just for the live crowd. And it was little things like that. Like Cody came out in the dark match to face Dom in the squash match. It was like a minute and a half long, but we all got to sing along and do the thing, right? We sang along to Shinsuke's music. We sang along to everything that we were supposed to sing along to. And I always give props to the Carolina crowds because they usually are very, very positive and fun. But I want to ask you guys a couple things about Raw. I was okay, and I know that this is a moment that Elder probably cherished, and you know where I'm going with this. In the main event,
remind me,
Chad, in the main event, Chad Gable versus Gunther, amazing match, unbelievable match. He's now officially the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, and I think it's records are made to be broken, and he's as credible as champion as it can get. But Chad Gable's family was crying in the front row. Yes. And I saw that, and I was like, Elder's smiling at home right now. I know he is.
Listen. To quote the great Goldust, it warmed the cockles of my heart.
F them kids. F them kids.
No, it really was good, and I think that's where you keep it going, like. People can get stuff ruined for them on social media and all of that. We know all these, we had to have all these people with the fake word and all of that shit. So it's great when wrestlers are doing something and they have their family there, but yet they don't smarten their family up to what's actually going to happen. It's just be there and react and do whatever. And I mean, it's the same thing when Tommy had his family in the in front where I'm sure we'll be talking about in a little bit, but it's that effect, and that kid, there's no smartening up, and those are the stories you even hear from like Dusty and other second generation and third generation wrestlers where they were like, oh my God, that guy just beat the crap out of my dad, and now they're drinking a beer at my kitchen table. What's up with this shit? Right. But still keeping them where they get that feeling.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think we've had experiences where we've been with wrestlers like around shows and they've just not said anything, so you get to experience it as a true fan, whether you're friends with them or not, whether you're family or not. You still have that going into a show. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is amazing. And so this goes back to the new kayfabe conversation that I always talk about, because Sam Roberts always talks about new kayfabe and this idea of the layer of reality in between what's real and what's on TV. Yeah. And so we're smart fans, we think, right? So we see Chad Gable's family in the front row, and like they wouldn't bring him in just to watch him lose. So my brain, I'm going, oh my God, he's going to beat Gunther. Because like I'm a fan, I know what's going to happen, and he didn't, and I was like, oh my God, like they added so much complexity to my experience as a fan.
And this looks like it's not over.
Right.
No,
it's not over. There's got to be a trifecta at least. I mean, but you talk about the new case. There's no suspending disbelief for those kids and the wife when they're hearing those chops live 10 feet away from them.
It was loud.
Yeah, there is. Listen, it's like they say. There are the chops where we all go, woo! We're all doing it for the woo chant, and like they hurt, they sting. It doesn't tickle. The lighty slap doesn't tickle. But I mean, like Gunther takes your soul away. It just you see like the smack, and you just see the person's soul just right out their ass. It's like it's amazing.
It's like an end game. It's like an end game when Hulk gets separated from his Hulk body and he goes backwards. Yeah. Like that's what I am. That's what I imagine Chad Gable feels like.
And don't discount Chad Gable. That guy. 2 years ago, they were calling Shorty Gable. bullshit.
Yeah.
This guy is an Olympic freaking hero. Like, he's an Olympic champ, and he the strength. There's only so much Gunther can help him, picking him up from the mat into a belly to back German suplex. Or a suplex, as our
as the late Gordon Soley would say.
As our Gordon Soley would say, yes.
Okay, so I also wanted to get you guys' take, because I haven't had a chance to ask you guys about this, even though I talk to you every day. When the pay-per-view ended last week, and we don't even cover the pay-per-view because that's like so long ago at this point, but so much has happened. Payback was awesome. Like, I thought it was one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And I personally think that Trish and Becky had match of the night, and probably the best match of Trish's career, which is crazy to say at 47, someone who just came back and doesn't wrestle regularly had that match with Becky Lynch. Give me a break.
That was a great cage match. That was a great cage match, and they both came away with what I say you come away with. If you're not busted open bleeding, you have to come away hurt and broken and bruised.
Yeah.
And those ladies rammed each other into that fence. There was none of the BS kendo sticks where now everybody likes to get the kendo sticks and trap them in the corner somewhere, and they go, oh. That's bull. I like that cage match was real. That was two women that were just, I expected Joey Styles to be yelling, "Cat fight!"
No, there was a moment when Becky had Trish's head up against the chain link. Normally they have their hands up to protect themselves. She didn't. She just ran her face across the chain link. Like, holy crap!
And that ain't plastic, people. That ain't plastic. I know our crowd is smart, and they know that shit hurts. Yeah.
And Deb brings up a good point. The story wasn't really terrific going into it. Although, as fans of Zoe Stark, I was super happy to have her in the middle of such a high profile storyline, just coming into the main roster. However, this ended up being the match that was a lot of people's favorite match of the night in a card that really over delivered. Because I think my personal opinion is that after all the Punk stuff and all that other stuff that happened, I think the WWE people were like, all right, we're going to remind them why we're the market leaders, and we're going to give them a pay-per-view that they're going to talk about on Monday. And they really did.
Yeah, I'm basically let's face it, on a secondary kind of fill-in pay-per-view, it absolutely over-delivered and gave us.
But John, they always do. They always do.
We always talk about that, and we always talk about.
We're always worried. We always have that great balls of fire. Oh my God!
Yes, but
what are they going to do? Look at the graphics, and then all of a sudden it kicks our butt.
Right, and then the stories don't make sense, and this doesn't work. But then we get to the pay-per-view and we watch the matches, and as always, they deliver and over-deliver in most cases, and you walk away with it like, wow, that was a really good pay-per-view.
Yeah, and now we know the storyline was Zoe getting in the cage and turning on Trish. That was the whole lead up. It has nothing. That was a nice. Now that's over.
And that was a great way to kind of wrap that whole.
Yeah,
the whole thing up, and now obviously Trisha is 47. She's not going to be on any kind of a long sustained run or anything. And now
Becky's on her way to possibly collect the championship that has eluded us since she's been
the only one. Yeah.
And again, and a nice little shine for Zoe Stark, who we all know and love, and
love her.
Now it's kind of like, okay, this is over and done with. Let's see what happens with Zoe now. And I'm here for it and excited to see where they go with it.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because Zoe Stark was on Busted Open with Sam Roberts and Dave LaGreca. They did that interview with her, and she talked about, for someone like that who went to NXT and is now in such a high profile story, but she was getting mentored by not only Becky Lynch, but by Trish Stratus, who's been there, done that, and was getting, we always talk about wrestlers taking opportunity to sit under the learning tree. Well, I mean, you're in there with two of the greatest of all time, week after week after week, in these multiple segment storylines backstage, in the ring. I mean, if you want to talk about a crash course, a boot camp, whatever you want to call it, I think Zoe came out of this a star. And then this brings me to my question. Like this week on Raw, we saw her, they had a match. She had a match with Shayna Baszler, but at the end they fist bumped, and it sort of looks like they're heading down the road of Shayna and Zoe teaming up. And I'm like, from a character standpoint, okay, Ronda's done her thing and she's gone on. What does Shayna do now?
Right.
Oh, that's a good fit. Like, I think that's a good fit.
I think that's a great fit. I think that's a better fit than Shayna and Ronda were to begin with. And how long did we wait for that to happen, even though it kind of fizzled? But still, Zoe and Shayna just running through the women's division in general. It really is exciting stuff and good for both of them to get some more of that spotlight. Because let's face it, not that everybody fights for time at WWE anyway, but you have a couple stories on Raw, you have a couple stories on SmackDown, but other than that, you still have a lot of people on the roster more than capable of delivering in and out of the ring that are now, WWE spreads the wealth a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
I found that they've been following the storyline. Like, everybody's had something going on. Like, there hasn't been any fluff or real filler. You know what I mean? Like, it's. Am I the only one noticing that?
Well, no, you're right.
No, to me, you're 100% right, Elder. To me, it's very reminiscent of.
It's a hard bathroom break. There's no way.
There's no break.
Too. Yeah, there's no break. You're gonna get some diapers, but
I gotta wear a diaper like Richard Christie at a Coaching Cambria concert.
Well, and some of us right now, myself mainly, going to the bathroom takes a little extra time than it normally does. So, but anyway, to me, it's very reminiscent of a Attitude Era, where not every story was around the title. You had other stories and other things going on with everybody across the entire roster involved in something. We get this new, this seemingly budding teaming of Shayna and Zoe Stark, and then we go from that, which is pretty serious, like, ooh, this is going to be violent, I like this, to Chelsea Green, who is an absolute star, and thank God WWE signed her and is just letting her do what she does.
While you're at that, hashtag justice for Chelsea.
Chelsea, yes. It is the most entertaining. I haven't been this entertained, honestly, since the Iconics. And
oh yeah, it's a good call.
Honestly,
please, she's a better wrestler than the Iconics.
Well,
but they were funny.
I want no disrespect to the Iconics, but they were a little green in the ring.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing.
You're right.
I mean, and nothing for nothing. You want to talk about making chicken salad out of chicken shit? They were just getting going and become tag team champions. Her and Sonya gets hurt and is going to be out for a good bit of time. And it's like, Jesus, right as they were really getting things going,
she could keep it going. That I think they
absolutely.
I think they got it going long enough. Well, the torn ACL though, front row. How long do you have to be out for that?
ACL can be up to a year, depending. 9 months to a year.
Up to a year.
It depends. Yeah.
But
okay,
I mean,
so I just to what you're saying, John, is I was looking at Twitter today, or X, or I'm sorry, I'm going to call it Twitter. I can't call it X.
We can call it Twitter.
Chelsea and Adam Pearce are gold on there.
Yes.
Like, they're going back and forth, and we know he's not an in-ring competitor. This is never going to end in a match, but I don't care, because the back and forth and the little jabs at each other, and I want you 1,000 feet away from me at all times when I'm in the workplace.
Right.
And
yes.
The way I will say, if you're paying attention to her tweets, they're taking little jabs, little references at stuff that's going on elsewhere in wrestling.
Yeah,
and this is great.
Yeah, like I said,
don't forget who she lays down next to every night.
Well, and there's a lot to be
genius at tweaking whoever out there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said, but like I said, man, it is absolute gold with her. I don't care if she doesn't get back in the ring right away or anything, because all her stuff, and it was even like the Iconics. You're right, the Iconics were not very good in ring, but they more than made up for it 10 times over with the stuff they did out of the ring.
Highly entertaining.
Very, very entertaining.
Yeah, and so like
even at the end when Jessica McKay was handing out her resume to everybody,
and the headshot,
people that she clearly knew for years, and she still handed her resume.
Sure.
Yeah, and I will you got to give credit to Cassie Lee, because Cassie was trained by Lance Storm, as was Chelsea Green. She was pretty good. I mean, at the end, especially, had gotten pretty good. Jessica just wasn't quite catching up or whatever.
It was because they were a tag team, so you could see that there was the slowing down, and then
it's fine.
But this ain't a bashing thing on them. We love the Iconics anyway.
So talking about tag teams, we saw on SmackDown last night Shotzi and Charlotte teaming up, and I love this pair up because of the stark contrast in personalities. And did you see, if you saw Charlotte, go check out her social media post. She has the picture. Was it Wednesday Addams and was the other girl? But they look very the contrast between the two of them and Shotzi and Charlotte on screen was terrific. I like this match. I like the fact that they're damage control they're pushing damage control along, and I think they finally found their groove with it. It wasn't great for like a year or so, but they've figured it out. But they did advertise on the show last night that in 2 weeks we're going to get Io Sky versus Asuka for the title, and make that an hour long. Make it the whole show. I don't give a shit.
Yes,
like, whatever.
Absolutely.
Those two can have an Iron Woman match
easily.
Yeah. Anything. They could do absolutely anything, and it would be absolutely must watch.
Yeah. So just a lot of good stuff going on in WWE. Obviously, the LA Knight stuff is still on fire. The fact that he had the fact that LA Knight had a backstage segment with Paul Heyman was intriguing. First of all, it tells me that they have they're putting so much stock in LA Knight that they're tying him into that story. Like that's a big deal. Heyman giving him time. Yeah, and doing what they did was great. I don't know where it's going, and I'm sure it's going to be cool.
I do. After Jimmy takes care of AJ, then Jimmy takes care of LA Knight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be great. But I want to see him involved in the story, because I do think that LA Knight has the fans' attention, but he doesn't have a ton of depth to his character yet. Like Bully said, like it's great, it's awesome, he's super popular, but you got to give me more than just a catchphrase. And this last week I thought was pretty good. Like especially the one last week leading into the pay-per-view with him and Miz, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless you're Orange Cassidy, then you don't need a catchphrase.
Well,
I love that. I'm Orange Cassidy, and I don't have a catchphrase. That's terrific.
The shirt was up on Pro Wrestling Tees by 11 o'clock. Probably.
Of course. Sure. Shop AEW.com.
Yeah.
People are already waiting their 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to briefly talk about AEW because I'm not crazy about a lot of stuff that's going on there. It's not that I'm a huge fan of the talent. There's a lot of great wrestling going on over there, but not a ton of stories. I will continue to say that MJF and Adam Cole and all the stuff that they're doing is just wildly entertaining. The layers that they've built into this story have been great. There's very serious matches. There's comedic. If it was just the MJF and Cole show, I'd probably watch more. I'd probably watch it all.
Maybe, yeah.
But there were matches. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, there are, AEW has this, and we talk about it ad nauseum, but outside of MJF and Adam Cole, there's really nothing more than just matches. And yes, the matches and all that are great, but if you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna go over and watch AEW and see what I see on WWE, no, not even close. Not and again, you're absolutely front row to your point. It's not for lack of talent or lack of ability for that matter. It's just we all know who's the one writing and running everything, and I for the life of me I can't understand. Just here. The best.
He needs a Sammy the Bull. That's what he needs.
He needs
the Bull back there, and that's that. But we're not
again. I know we talk about especially the women's division on AEW and all the shortcomings of it. I watched Ring of Honor this past week, as I always do, when they on Honor Club. They had four women's matches, and in an hour and 15-minute show. Including a women's title defense with a very physical, hard-hitting match between Athena and Allison Kay. The best wrestling I'm seeing from AEW as far as women is on the redheaded stepchild Ring of Honor.
Yeah. John, you have Billy Starks is like one of Athena's minions now, and
yes,
so they're putting her through the ringer. So that's a little bit that's funny. But as far as the in AEW, they have something sitting right there that could be a good little story, a good little program for Saraya to have with Emi Sakura, because the whole people don't know. Maybe it is the social media kayfabe that she's doing, where she's crying. She should have came out to "We Will Rock You," and her whole persona is cloaked in that Freddie Mercury persona, and that could be a good little storyline they could tell. Yeah, but hey, you know what? And whatever Tony Storm's doing, keep doing it. Chin up, girl, tits out, and
watch for the shoe.
And it's little things like that. It's like in general, you're like, wow, this is in general, like, wow, this could be so much better. But then you have a bright spot like that, Tony Storm.
Yeah,
and it almost gives you kind of false hope, like, oh, okay, now we're wait, never mind. It's 9:23. We're about to see the women's match. It's
John, I was gonna say the only thing that would have made it better is if Renee did a flashback to when that Iraqi reporter threw the shoe at George W. Bush.
Yeah,
and George W. Bush said, "Good thing he was only a size 8." That would have been good if Renee would have said, "Good thing she's only a size 6" or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, and it like I said, it just baffles me sometimes on how bad overall AEW misses the mark, especially with the women's division.
We're not backstage. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I know that they have a lot of talented people, and I wish the stories were more cohesive and a little bit more layered. Especially I'm not really sure where the champ is.
How about that? How about that? Where's we had this big wonderful thing. Big match, home country, home crowd, this, that. Great, she's champ. Where's she been?
Yeah, we shall see.
I guess. I think I saw that she's advertised to be on Dynamite this week. But
okay, well, we got that to look forward to. But what I do want to talk to you guys about, and our friend Neil was at the pay-per-view last night. I wanted to talk to you guys about Impact, and I'm glad that more people are talking about Impact, because as a fan and a supporter of women's wrestling, they are also doing a phenomenal job building their roster. I told the story about our conversation with Gail Kim, and hearing the interviews with her recently, knowing how much passion that the company puts into building the male and female talents the right way. I wish more people were watching it. I wish I had time to watch it all the time, but I listen to you guys' reaction on the pay-per-view.
Had three women main events. The Impact pay-per-view.
Yeah. I am a huge fan of Masha. I'm a big fan of Killer Kelly. This MK Ultra team up, I think, is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes. So I'm going to interview you guys about the pay-per-view, because I don't know, Mike, did you get a chance to watch it last night?
Yeah, I just watched it today.
You watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys both watched it. I'm going to pick and choose a couple of these. I do want to start with this tag match, because I'm also a huge fan of Savannah Evans. She was from Charlotte. We saw her at all the local shows. I think she's an awesome person, and just when that bell rings, she is a monster, and I'm very happy to see her in this position. So this match with Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans versus MK Ultra. John, give me your thoughts on this one.
First and foremost, great match. Giselle Shaw has improved 5-10-fold in the ring. Always had the unique look and plays into her character and everything well outside of the ring as far as promos and stuff. But her in ring has grown leaps and bounds. We always talk about having to wrestle up and be to the level of your competition. Savannah Evans, they call her the cannibal for a reason. And Masha and Killer Kelly, are probably some of the top female wrestlers, but they're some of the top female wrestlers. Outside of basically outside of WWE. So, but overall, it was the kind of match I exactly expected from them for. Very physical, very hard hitting. Knowing the backgrounds of everybody involved. And I thought it was a fantastic match. Savannah and Giselle were more than worthy opponents for the Impact Tag Team title.
Can we just say that? Can we just say that, John? Impact Wrestling, whoever it is, we know Tommy has a voice back there, but it's everybody, whoever's involved back in the back there.
Yeah,
they know how to tell people. Listen, tell a story. Use psychology. You better not snap back up in it, because that's what I see. All great. It's great storytelling, and when you look and you go, Savannah should be, should be able to kill. She's the cannibal. She should be able to kill these girls. But they tell a story. They tell a really good story about how they take the giant down and how the other two mess it up, and it really was. It was a great match. And if you know how this tag team champions came together, though, John, everybody doesn't really know, was they had a feud with each other, and it ended a blood feud that ended in a dog collar match. And at the end of the match, Masha won, but took Killer Kelly with her.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not. This is PG. Like, I don't want to offend our stockholders out there. But anyway, let's just say there's tinges of it's a very titillating, and it's
intriguing.
It's intriguing is what it is, because you go, this is weird, because now their entrance is even they're still wearing the dog collar. She's still dragging her around the dog collar, and then they go in there and they unleash each other and they kill and got MK Ultra, and they're gonna go.
They'll stay champs as long as they want to be. To be honest, they'll stay champs as long as they want to.
And they retained there. And like I said, you had in the pay-per-view, you had 3 women's main matches. You had the Trinity, you had, Trinity against Alicia, and then you had
Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordan Grace.
Purrazzo against Jordan Grace.
That's a match. That's a match that could headline a pay-per-view all on its own.
Yeah, and that was an absolute banger. That is definitely match of the card, top contender. Those two, you can tell. Obviously, they've been around and faced each other before. Those two have chemistry in the ring that is undeniable, and they both basically come in with the same thing. We're going to tear the house down. We're going to give the best match that we can, and and this was and this particular match. Although yes, we have seen Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordan Grace before,
but it had a story.
But there was underlying stories to it. That yes, it was Jordan's first match back with Impact. It was also Jordan's never beaten Deonna. She was 0-5 until last night. And a lot of people,
vignette, she had the
little thing,
and I think with the 0-4 on it while she was working out, looking at
and that was the those
are
the little nuances and stuff that you're like, yeah, we've seen Deonna and Jordan before, and they've always had. But wait a minute, no, oh yes, they're right. Jordan's never beat Deonna. And again, now you're even buying into it more, because yes, the main thing was Jordan Grace's return to Impact, but then you bring in that little wrinkle and you're like, wow, and those two absolutely gave probably like I said, probably the match of the night.
And they split the crowd, so it's a really exciting match
Yeah,
because
right.
it's not like what there's no heat on one person or another. They're both beloved, like, and it's a 50-50 split, and whoever comes out on top. But Jordan got that Jersey girl off her back finally.
Yes.
Yeah, and they get time to tell these stories. I mean, this was like a 12-minute match that had no lulls. It was just super physical. I saw the clips from it, and I was like, I don't know how they're standing today. Maybe they're not.
I don't know.
But they have tapings to do, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
Somebody is. But yeah, so on this card, we also saw PCO and Bully Ray. We also saw Tommy Dreamer.
Bully!
So, but I wanted to ask you guys about the Tommy Dreamer match because I feel like, especially on Busted Open and everything that he was saying, he was almost going down the Mark Henry path of, I think this is it. Like he had his family prepared. Like he genuinely looked, when he entered that arena, he genuinely looked like in his mind, he knew this was it.
Yeah. This was, you definitely had, the old Yeller vibe, because we all know what happens to old Yeller at the end of the movie.
I never watched the end of that. I never.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's not good. But again,
too soon.
Well, yes, and again, Tommy, besides everything he's done, and I know we kind of bust his chops because he doesn't seem the most energetic or anything on air with Busted Open and stuff. Tommy Dreamer sat for a long time under the learning tree of an absolute master storyteller, and that man was Paul Heyman. Tommy knows how to tell a story. Tommy knows how to sell that emotional attachment. Tommy knows exactly who and what he is. Tommy is the ultimate underdog. Tommy is the ultimate guy fighting from underneath, and like they say, he's the heart and soul of professional wrestling because he just does it. He's been doing it so long, we don't realize how good he was. Now, could you be believing that at the pay-per-view last night, if he lost, it was his last match? Yeah, you could, just because of the way Tommy sold it. And again, and during the match, the story she told during the match, how he came out, with his homage to his mentor and friend Terry Funk, with the Funk U shirt and the striped pants.
Hey, listen, John. So speaking about that, how excited were you when you saw Tommy climbing up to do that move? I was like, how almost sold were you till he got kicked?
I was like, no, Tommy, please, no. It never works.
Oh my God, dude, I would have felt so loud if he did that. When you said that, I never knew that Terry Funk did his first freaking moonsault at 52 years old at EC Dub.
Yes.
But there's other components to this, because if you remember when Mark Henry, before his big swerve with John Cena, he was going on radio shows talking about retirement. He was going on, he was telling his personal friends. I remember Jay Moore talked about it on his podcast, that Mark had spoken to him privately about retiring, and he was done.
He was working everybody.
He did it for months. And Tommy's been doing the same thing on Busted Open. How long has he been saying, I don't think I can travel anymore? He's been sowing these seeds for the Busted Open fans, the Busted Open Nation, and wrestling fans to genuinely believe that this was Tommy's swan song, that this is
right.
It makes sense based on everything that we've heard that this would be it for him. This was a career versus title match. And it was, I don't know if it was a swerve in the truest sense. I think probably those things Tommy said were probably true.
Sure.
But at the same time, boy, did it lend a lot of credibility into making me think that he was losing.
Yeah, when he says it does hurt when he has to get on a plane and he gets all cramped and hurting, that's true. When he says as soon as he gets off, he feels good. As soon as he gets in the ring, he's all right.
That's true about a lot of people. They get that adrenaline rush.
It's showtime. So.
Yeah, no doubt. But otherwise, it was a really good pay-per-view. And so I also think we got to give flowers to Steve Macklin, because Steve Macklin was in a tag team, obviously, or in a faction rather, in WWE, and one of his partners then went off the deep end and
Yeah.
got kicked
Well,
off of social media and all that other stuff. And
yeah.
I'm glad that he's been able to find success.
Laying on his feet.
You land on his feet, but
That's
not only
usually
that, but
what
really
happens.
excel.
That's usually what happens to talent that's good enough when they leave either place, no matter where they leave, wherever they go. The grass isn't always greener, but you could certainly be the miracle grow of your career, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
No, he absolutely, yeah. He absolutely got a new and second lease on his wrestling career coming to Impact. And it's been, this is not, an overnight sensation type situation either. He has put in the time. He has put in the work. He has developed and made this character, and established this persona. And he's absolutely top notch in the ring. And that the only thing is, I loved his match with Josh Alexander last night. It was an amazing match. The only thing is, this was originally supposed to be for the Impact World title, and it was also at that time that Josh Alexander got hurt and was out for 6 months or 8 months, and then they kind of made it work, and then come back, and then Macklin got hurt himself, and he was out for a couple of months. So to finally see this after basically about a year, just to see this match come off between them two was fantastic. And it was just as physical and as hard hitting as I knew it would be, just knowing how those guys wrestle. But, Macklin's far from done doing that. There's another title run in his future.
Oh yeah, both those guys are wrestlers.
They are wrestlers.
They're guys they're guys that they're like, there's very few like them that you got Claudio, you got Danielson.
Yeah. But
those guys. And by the way, speaking about PCO and Bully, they stole my idea. Remember when Dave was having the book your perfect card with the forbidden door? On there I had Thunder versus Asuka, which is a banger, right? That's a good one. But throughout the show I had PCO chasing Bully throughout the whole show. Like he does. Go every once in a while, see Bully come running through. Bully!
I know it's the running joke and all this and that, and PCO is not human, this and that, but my God, that man,
he really isn't.
he isn't. I don't know if he just has a fountain of youth, if he has,
John, he is human. I mean, we have to admit he is human, but he's doing inhuman and inhumane things to his body.
He's doing stuff to his body at 50-something years old that kids, his grandkids can't do. He does it consistently, and I know a lot of it adds to the legend and the lore of PCO, but dude, you got to stop and appreciate.
John, he's the Cactus Jack of this. He's the Cactus Jack of this era of wrestling. But
absolutely,
but he's freaking 60 years old.
Yes,
he's older than Mick Foley.
Yes,
yeah, he's
Cactus Jack.
He's doing this. He went through 4 freaking tables the other night on top of all the other stuff. What the hell are they pouring down his throat, and he's getting lit on fire?
He's on fire. Yes, and all that. It's like I said.
Do you trip on battery acid?
No, it's not that kind of. It's not that kind of acid. No,
I don't think that's a good idea.
No, don't do it.
Don't try that at home.
No, kids do not try this at home. And that just goes to the other point that we make about Impact. Fully rounded show. They have the entertainment. You have your Johnny Swingers. You have your Dirty Dango. I mean, you need a Dirty Dango vignette every week.
Let's not forget the newest sensation, Joya.
Julia.
Joya.
Forget about it.
Now instead of 2 claps, it's 3 claps.
Yeah.
And that's stuff like that. But Joe Hendry, who was a relative unknown before he came to Impact. Look how over
he was. I mean, we saw him in Ring of Honor. He was making a name for himself there. But I agree with you. he took this character to a whole new level in Impact. He's garnered, I mean, even our very own Chad, who was taken to Joe Hendry like crazy.
Yes,
Yeah,
he believes. He believes.
He does. I believe he met Joe Hendry
I
today.
think
they
there's a
did today,
restraining
yes.
order out for Chad from Albany.
Might
to stay
be now,
away
yeah.
from- He's
Might
very obsessed with this guy.
Yeah, but that's the effect this guy has. But
It is.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes, and I think just overall, what makes Impact so good, so consistently good, is not only do you have good backstage people, good producers, good agents, and all that stuff, you have a roster that is fully invested and fully involved, and basically it's everybody's rowing to make the ship go the
They're
same
a team.
direction.
They're a team.
It's an absolute team and team mentality, and I believe that's the secret that they have to making their product as good as it is. Like I said, it's an absolute shame they don't have as much exposure as WWE or AEW or anything like that, because absolutely they would have the audience.
They're getting there. Listen. They're taping Impact 1000 tonight live as we're talking right now. Thursday we're going to get to see the 1000th episode of that. I encourage everybody, just it's $1.49 or whatever it is on YouTube. Pay for it. You can unsubscribe afterwards, and you can still have it for a month and watch a couple of Impact shows, because they really are. They really are the great wrestling that you need to see. We didn't even scratch the surface of that whole show. You got Leo Rush with the the Rascals going up against the
machine guns, the Motor City Machine Guns,
the Motor City Machine Guns, who are timeless as well. It's like, the Motor City Machine Guns and PCO together are like 150 years old, and they're all still going.
They're still cooking. They're still cooking and getting it done. And here's the other thing. That pay-per-view last night was $10 on Fight. $10.
You can't beat it.
$5 if you had YouTube.
If you do a split, But I'm saying, we here we are reeling basically from AEW doing.
I have Neil sign and stuff. Just DM me. I'll sell it to you. $5. You get the pay-per-view for $5 from me. That was just.
There you go.
Disclaimer. Mongrovian's just making a joke.
But we were just talking about how AEW was nailing everybody back to back at $50 a pop for their pay-per-views. Now, granted, Impact does. This is how they kind of work their television as well. They do these quote unquote smaller pay-per-view events, or not as hype.
But let's just say, John, they're off pay-per-views. Not their main pay-per-views are the $40 ones on Fight. And then they're off pay-per-views you can get on YouTube or on Fight, but at a cheaper rate.
Yeah, for $10, that definitely didn't feel or watch or deliver like a $10 pay-per-view. Yeah, absolutely did not.
Yeah. While we're at it, Fight Plus, don't sleep on that. You can get all the GC Dub and you can get all the MLW now, and it's freaking great.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of which, another subscription that's worth your time and effort is Title Match Network, and on October 21st, you can see Mission Pro Wrestling's Thriller our next pay-per-view on Title Match Network. And if you are in the San Antonio area, email us for tickets at missionprowrestling.com. It's going to be a really cool show. I think most of the matches have been announced. There's some more stuff coming up this week. We already have Tiffany Nieves, the Mission Pro Wrestling champion, defending her title against Christina Marie. We have Black Swan has answered JP Harlow's open casket challenge, and they'll be having a match, a casket match at that pay-per-view. We have an undefeated Maya World who is facing Izzy Moreno, who is looking to get her first win at Mission Pro Wrestling. And man, there's a bunch of other stuff coming up. It's just going to be a really fun show. So if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, email us at missionprowrestling@gmail.com. check us out on the socials. We do stuff every week. Monday's Match Monday. We always publish new matches, unseen, or matches that are new to the YouTube channel. Tuesday nights On a Mission. There's some really cool stuff coming up this week with Unmatched, myself and Trenda Magellan on Thursdays as well. So lots of Mission Pro Wrestling stuff. I know, John, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, real quick. We were talking about Title Match Network, who is also the home of Capital Championship Wrestling. And our show, next show coming up live from the famous Mecca in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. First time ever at that venue, and excited to be going in there. We present Misery and also Venom Championship Wrestling as having a card on that show as well. We have a few more matches to announce, but that is October 7th, live from the Mecca or on Title Match Network. So if you need even more of a reason not to or subscribe to Title Match Network, if you haven't already, here are the two top female all women's promotions that are conveniently right there for you, besides all the other content that they offer.
That's
so
right.
You really don't have to go anywhere to see top quality women's wrestling more than Title Match Network. But
and am I right or wrong, John? You're going to have the debut of two Long Island pretty new favorites. Gabby Forza is going to face Nat Castle.
That is true. With that match has already been booked for Venom Championship Wrestling. They're both making their debuts with us. Excited to have friend of the show and friend of the nation, the Nomi, Gabby Forza, and looking forward to seeing her live and in person work. And if things work out, that I will be in attendance for it. But if not, I will certainly be watching on Title Match Network.
Cool. John, if I can just add, like, folks really should go back and check out our interview with Gabby, because she was awesome. And just, I'm so excited to see what she has in store, obviously in October and down the road, man. I see big things for her.
New York State football champ, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're getting close to collision time. So, Mike, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me at Mongrovian Mike, and I just want to give a shout out to tonight at Victory Pro Wrestling in Bayshore. If there's anybody there, still got time to get down. The show only started at 7:30. Get down there in Bayshore on Saxon Avenue, Victory Pro Wrestling. It's going to be Leo Sparrow is defending his New York State championship against the Big Boofa, Desmond Cole.
Wow.
And that's an I Quit match. And I don't know if you guys saw me. I modified. I gave.
Yeah, we saw that.
He's a chicken. He's going to quit.
Oh, boy.
That's a shrimp.
You have too much time on your hands.
Too much time on my hands, like Tommy Shaw and Sticks. Yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's all.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. Oh yeah, Creative Pro is going to be coming up again in a couple of weeks here, so I'm excited for that. It's just watch independent wrestling. Damn it, there's so much stuff. Go to Title Match. Go to Fight Plus and watch the shit. It's great. You're not chained to just two promotions. Don't worry.
It's true. There's a lot of good stuff out there. John, how about you?
Just the CCW stuff that I just mentioned. Of course, again, October 7th, live from the Mecca and on Title Match Network. And as always, thank you, Deb. I can finally do it right now. Hashtag Nation's Corner on location. When you're out there on the X or the Twitter or the Gram, the Facebook, throw out that hashtag Nation's Corner on location. Let us know who you're seeing, what matches you are, who you're liking. Post pictures, post your thoughts, post your comments, and always use the hashtag Nation's Corner on location. And you can always find me on the X, the Twitter. I still say Twitter. I don't know what X is. And on the Gram at Twisted Metal Fab.
Happy birthday to Nation member Zito from California, too.
Yes, I saw that. And shout out to Whip in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yes. We got a lot of support tonight. You can find me at PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us at Mission Pro Wrestling as well. Follow, like, and subscribe across all of our social media channels. Again, stay tuned for October 22nd, October 21st for Mission Pro Wrestling's Thriller. Next week is going to be a fun show. Next Saturday is going to be a fun show. Make sure you tune in. Everybody, hope everybody has an awesome weekend, and thanks for joining us tonight.
He's
Later.
still got the whole world in his hands.
He does.
Still does.
Agreed. The fireflies are always out, as
Yes.
we saw. Later, everybody.